So, as we're starting freshly late, we will go straight on with the first question. So, can I take the first question, please? Straight away, lady down the front who's probably... I am Welsh, thanks sir. Can somebody else host the panel? Yes, the question of the lady in the front. If you could have been the doctor in any other Doctor story, yes, who would you have been and why?
Now there's more than one answer here. There is, I could have been Sylvester McCoy in his first story. I could have been me forever then. I could have carried on being me, so yes, I'd have done that. But in reality, probably Christopher Eccleston in the Doctor Dances, that one. Because he had the best line in Doctor Who ever, which was "Everybody lives." Remember that? At the end of The Empty Child and the Doctor Dances. And I liked The Empty Child, I liked those gas masks. Are you my mummy? Your turn.
What was the one where he said wibbly wobbly wobbly wibbly? I regret never...
Wibbly wobbly time.
Wibbly wobbly timey wimey. That's the one I'd like to have been in, because I'd like to have said that. But I've now just said it, so I'm happy.
Yeah, I loved The Empty Child actually. Released when it came back in the new series, which was a Christopher Eccleston. We could just remake Christopher Eccleston's episodes, couldn't we? Somebody likes doing Doctor Who. Sorry. That's some great stories in that first season, yes. And that's the answer to the question.
And I thought he did them very well.
He did do them very well, yes. Yeah, he did them very well, yes. Oh yes, very well. I don't care if he hears that. Right, okay.
Thank you.
We don't need a microphone, do we? Can you hear us?
I reckon people at the back might need a microphone. Can I take another question? There's a gentleman down there in the blue shirt.
Doctor. Speak up!
Are there any villains or monsters that you would have liked to have had or would like to have in the future a rematch with?
Are there any monsters or villains you would like to or would have liked to have had a rematch with?
You mean that we had ourselves?
I assume you mean that they
Yes.
could have
Yes.
like to have.
Yeah.
I would like to see, well, I had a kind of neat monster called a pteroleptal, which was not very well, it wasn't designed. He was a sort of a rubber outfit. The poor chap could wobble like that and couldn't move very fast. But I think if you did a redesign of the pteroleptal, they would be quite good. So I suggested that to the powers that be, and they completely ignored me. So it just shows you what power I have. But I thought the pteroleptal was good.
Yeah, the tetraps, the first ones I worked with, the tetraps, I'd like to see them again. Although the one in Dragonfire, your little waddle there reminded me of the guy in Dragonfire, because he was a skinny little man in rubber, and they gave him this big head, and he waddled around like that, looking rather funny and not terrifying.
That was the standard thing, wasn't it, for all those monsters or outfits?
Yes, they
They couldn't move very fast and we were away.
I know, and they were supposed to be terrifying, but they could. But the tetraps, for those who don't know, they were bats, and they had 3 eyes and big teeth, and they were rather frightening and rather good, and they got lots of very buskers and tumblers to play them. And they had, as they were bats, they had to hang upside down, and we were actually in the studio acting underneath them, and it was so hot, they were dripping sweat on us all the way through the scene.
When you say buskers, are buskers known for their acrobatics?
Oh yeah, they...
Are they playing guitars and banging?
No, buskers who do, they kind of tumble and they do all that.
Street entertainers.
Well, I was one, so I can call them what I like.
No, you weren't.
I was.
You didn't entertain me.
You went on the street, not my street anyway. Came from much posher street.
That's true. Does it matter? Do you know, funny enough, my very first story, the Twin Dilemma, the monster was a man in a rubber suit who was playing a slug. So we all had the same, that poor, what's his name? No, because this was Edwin Richfield, a respected actor, crammed into a slug suit. Not only, he certainly didn't move like that, because he couldn't move at all. And we were all supposed to be scared of him. What's the question? Which one? I think the one I'd like a rematch with, because he is the next best thing to the master. It is Davros. Because I've done a few stories with Davros on Big Finish audios, and they've all been amongst the best stories I've done, because it's the clash of wills and minds, and I like working with Terry Malloy as well.
He's very good in the bar after.
Did you do a Davros story? Have you got a Davros story?
Oh yeah, I killed Davros. I wiped out the whole planet.
Program in the actual series, yes, I did have Davros, yes.
We've all worked with.
Well, someone told me today that I was the only actor apart from somebody else who worked with Davros.
We're the somebody else.
He started foaming up in mine. It's a very exciting effect, yes. He was in there and they put the lines of foam and it just burst out and they, exciting.
Well, I lectured him on rice pudding. I mean.
How did it burst out again?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Does anybody remember the name of that story, by the way? Yes, what is it called?
Remembrance of the Gods.
Very good. So,
What a revelation!
thank you. Another question for anybody. Can I take off the gentleman there in the Scott?
Obviously, apart from Doctor Who, all have illustrious community outside of it, and with the reboots that are going on at the moment, which of the shows you've starred in previously or since Doctor Who would you like to see a reboot of?
Okay. So, which program that you have starred in would you like to see a reboot of?
I would like to see, I'd like to see a reboot of a series I did called At Home with the Braithwaites. Because I'd just be nice to revisit where they are now after all these years of winning that money and falling apart and being dysfunctional. I just thought it would be an interesting idea.
Oh, very peculiar practice.
Very peculiar practice. I'd be going Crowden's age by now, wouldn't I? Yeah, but that was my favourite thing. And the Braithwaites.
Tis was.
I'm seeing Sally James quite soon, I'll tell you who said that. My friend Sally. It had to be the brothers, because the character I played in that was one who was about to take over the world, and then the BBC decided to drop the series.
No acting then.
No acting required. Here they are. And just to see, it's the same story. Where are they now? What happened to all those people? And of course, we don't know any more than you do. Thank you very much. Next!
Thank you, lovely answer. Next question. Young man up there with the bow tie on, which is quite cool.
Why do you have a captain on your coat?
Why did I have a cap pin on my coat? Because I had seen that Peter had a stick of celery, and I thought, clearly you have to have something on your coat. And if I'm going to have something on my coat, I'm going to make it slightly more interesting. Not than a piece of celery.
When was the last time you had an interesting conversation with a piece of celery?
And a favourite quote of mine is Rudyard Kipling. I am the cat who walks by himself and all places are alike to me. And I thought, if anything sums up the Doctor, it's that. And so because he's a bit of a cat. He comes in on his own terms, and you know what cats are like. They'll pin you down to a chair for an hour, you don't move because the cat's asleep, and as soon as he's ready to have his dinner, he's off. They'll say thank you, anything. So I thought that something, a bit like the Lone Ranger. You know. Deep, isn't he? Deep, very deep.
Yeah, I only learned the lines and try not to bump into the monsters. You thought about it a lot. Next, please. The Doctor. Oh, and way up the back! Stand up and show!
Big Finish is very successful now, but just thinking back to about 15 years ago when it first started, were you, the three of you, nervous taking part in the very first audio?
I still don't understand the very first audio, actually.
Were we in it?
I think we were.
All right, that one. I've no idea. I don't think I've known what any of them are about, really.
I think it was the most auspicious start in story terms, but it was very successful. But I love doing it now. They're great. I don't know what the question was there. What was the question?
Yes, what was the question? Just stand up and shout it again.
Were you nervous when you first started?
Nervous? No.
I didn't really give much thought to the fact that I was coming back to the park. We just sort of went in there and we did it as if we were the people we were, which I guess we were, really.
We still are.
And they couldn't see how much older we were, so it was great.
No. Yes, it's a pity we have to do these things. They see how old we are. Big Finish kept us young. Well, most of us.
I was delighted because mine was a case of Doctor Interrupt Us, really. My grand plan for the 17 years that I was going to play the Doctor was somewhat frustrating. So my character's arc, if you like, my developmental arc was stymied by someone called Grade. So Big Finish has given me the chance to show my Doctor in his full glory, shall I say, in his many colours. I have many colours, you know. Yeah. So I was delighted, and I have to say, I don't know whether this is true of yours, but I think the standard of writing in the scripts in Big Finish is consistently higher than some of the stuff that was on television. Really, I'm amazed, because there's been so much. I must have done 50 or 60 Big Finishes now, and I've never seen a script that anyone would describe as bad. I mean, some are, you know, above okay, but nothing below okay. And some are just brilliant. The writing is stunning.
I agree. Yes. Do you agree?
I agree too, yeah.
We three agree. Next! Someone over there. You there, yes. That lady there. All right, there's someone over there. Hello, someone over there. That's
Pretty girl.
hello, lady.
If you had to make your own catchphrase for your Doctor, apart from like you had one before, what would it be? You had to put you as a person.
Oh.
We've got to come up with a catchphrase now.
We're not writers. We're actors. Someone. You should write it for us if you've got an idea.
How about mine? Whether you like it or not.
I've got mine. Help! Get me out of this big costume. I'm lost.
And you stay lost for the next 3 years.
I just say run. That's mine. Run.
Yes, sir.
He wants to be. Does one else do it?
I'm more than happy to do it.
Every time he's got
There's you've got somebody there, a young boy in the green with his arm.
Okay, did you enjoy playing the Doctor?
Yes!
Playing the Doctor. Yeah, I think probably yes.
Lovely.
Absolutely.
Quick answer, isn't it? I'm sorry.
Is there one thing that you didn't like?
One thing I didn't like. One thing I didn't like.
Stopping playing the Doctor.
I'm glad you did.
Dare not.
And yes, no, it was great fun playing the Doctor. Great fun today. What I didn't like, not having enough time to play the Doctor during the actual making of it. We were never given enough time to make the programs.
I think also, we were, the program itself was underappreciated, wasn't it?
Yeah, and unloved.
It made a
By
lot
the
of
time
money.
we got to it.
Made a lot of money for the BBC, and none of it was put back in to something to do. It was all used to fund other programs, and they just felt...
El Dorado.
Let's make Doctor Who for this amount of money, they can make it for less next time. And that was their attitude. Do a lot of programs, not only us, but it affected us more because we were trying to make a series, a drama series, that involves special effects in the same time as another program would just be doing a drama. So it was different.
One question I wanted to ask you, how much say did you have when you first shown the costume to play the Doctor? Did you have any say in it at all, or were you just given it and just told this is what you're wearing?
Minimal. I was asked, my particular costume, I was asked, and I suggested that it might be loosely based on a trickling outfit, but it's not what I would have chosen. They then went away and designed an outfit. I would have preferred it more off the paint, kind of just picking up a bit of an item of clothing there. But, you know, it was a comfortable costume, I didn't really complain. I don't think we had much say in it, I don't think, in anything, in the scripts or anything, really. You could wheedle. I think wheedling was the best way to get it. Yeah, begging or wheedling. Or trying to pretend it was their idea in the first place. I found that was very useful with John Nathan Turner. You just say, John, you said something to me the other week about this, we should do this. I think it's a really good idea. And he wouldn't be able to remember what he was supposed to do. So he would then, you know, go, yes, I think it's a good idea. Yeah, I always thought it was.
Well, I mean, I went from the audition wearing my hat the way it ended up in Doctor Who. I was actually wearing a straw hat just like that. And JNT said to me, I love that hat. It should be in Doctor Who. And I said, well, I go with a hat. And that's how I got the job. But then when I got there, they asked me what I wanted to wear. And I said I wanted a kind of a linen jacket. It was all crumply, big pockets, so I could keep my scripts in it. And, you know, paraphernalia and all that kind of stuff. And then they went away and made one. You know. But then I realised afterwards that they made it so it wouldn't be crumply because of, you know, filming again and again and again. It would just look different in each shot. And then the pullover, I think, well, that was Jonathan Turner's idea, the question marks. I think his granny knitted them and he wanted to, you know, make sure that she got a few bob out of the programme. I hated that. And then the umbrella was my idea because I was left with Colin's golf umbrella and the scene got blown up and I was left with this big umbrella and then I thought, I think I'll keep an umbrella. So I got that in, that was mine. The rest was just the designer. And now your costume.
My costume. They asked me what I wanted. The first thing I remember very clearly, I said, why does he have to have a costume? Can't he just wear clothes? But why does he wear the same thing all the time? Nobody else does. In any of the stories, you know, they have a change of clothes for some characters, but not the Doctor. Once you wear something, you always wear it, which strikes me as dumb. But I was told I had to have a costume. So I suggested, forgive me, my voice is going, that the Doctor would possibly on occasion wish to pass unnoticed. Doing the things he does, he might want to fade in the background and disappear. So what I described was exactly what Christopher Eccleston eventually got. I wanted a long black coat and black underclothes, so he could just wrap the coat round you and go. And John listened to me very attentively, like people have done all through my life, and done the opposite. My wife still does now. And he said, I think we should be totally tasteless. I said, yeah, all right then. And then they got Pat Godfrey, the designer, to keep coming back with new designs for costumes, which were, and he kept saying, no, too tasteful. So in the end, she went, oh, you want something like this then, as a joke. I went, that's it, he said. So I was then stuck with it. But you had to look at it, I didn't. And the other thing is, of course, now they're selling the little models. All the little kids want the colourful one. So at 0.00001 of a penny each, I get 0.004 for you. At last, that horrible costume paid me back.
Thank you. Another question, gentleman on the front.
John Coleshaw, the impersonator of Dead Riddless, phoned all of you pretending to be Tom Baker. How convinced were you that it was Tom Baker, and how long until you actually found out it wasn't? Now you're told, by the way, you've been conned as such up in it. No?
It's the most unlikely thing in the world is Tom Baker ringing you up.
I might have been fooled had it been the Queen, which is less likely, but I knew something was going on, but you go with it, don't you?
Yeah.
You do kind of go.
As an actor's instinct is not to blow somebody else's gag out of the water. It's like people go up on stage pretending to be hypnotised. I've been with people who've been to those hypnosis shows, and they all come back and say, well, I didn't like to not be hypnotised. So I bleated like a cow because it was really embarrassing. Saying, well, I'm not hypnotised, you stupid man. It's just the same with these gags. You have to go with it.
Another question. Yes, the lady there.
So all of you, it's about the 5-ish countries you reviewed. What was the most challenging thing while doing the project and filming for each one?
What was the most challenging thing? Getting everyone along to do the filming at the same time, because it was a very, very busy year. Bless them, Colin and Sylvester, actually made themselves more available as time went on, because they were going off every weekend. This bugger was going off to New Zealand, it was a kind of very complicated process. But we found that we did actually, in a sort of patchwork way. I think we went to you first, didn't we? When we went down to your house and we filmed down there. So from then on, it was just a matter of making time. But it was great because Colin even curtailed his a trip to Paris in order to come. Sylvester curtailed a trip to Paris to come back and help us film one particular bit we needed all to be together for. So it was great. I think that was.
Yes, you owe me a breakfast in Paris. I was supposed to have breakfast in Paris, but I had to come out, jump on the train, because Paul McGann was not working that afternoon. And so that was the only time we could all get together. Yeah. And the other thing was just trying to keep up with Colin running down the corridors. I just had an operation, and trying to act as if I wasn't limping. It was that was hard work. And you were away like Flynn. Now that's why I got a bad knee, you see.
Yes, I got my comeuppance down. There was no difficulty really, because Peter was very accommodating. He knew he had to organise a schedule that enabled people to be there, and he did all the hard work really. We gave him our diaries and he sorted it all out.
I got my daughter in to be my producer, and she managed to organise things that I know were just too complicated. Including John Barrowman, who very kindly gave us 2 hours of his time. He did very well, yeah, it was great. And I think actually it wasn't John Barrowman at all, I think it was his agent. But his agent said he's free for 2 hours on a Monday morning or something like that. But his chauffeur has to be waiting with the engine running. But actually he gave us much longer than that, and it was a horrible day. But Georgia was heavily involved in organising everyone arriving at the right time and stuff. And also a lady from the BBC, Katie Player, who really bossed us around brilliantly. I think she's left actually. Yeah, Katie in the
Yeah, I mean, the other thing I remember was Peter saying to me, "Oh, you're going out to New Zealand? Ask Peter Jackson if he'll be in it." And I'm like, oh God. Anyway, I got the courage and I asked Peter to be in it, and he said, "Yeah, I'll do that." "Oh, yes, that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be nice." And so we kind of tried to do it, but never quite worked out. And eventually, he did send to Peter, the little scene, which those of you who've seen it will have seen. Now, the thing is that I don't know. It looks to me as if Peter hadn't told Ian McKellen that he was going to be in it, because Ian charges 20 million a picture, and I've worked a lot with Ian McKellen over the last few years, and I know when he's acting, and I know when he's not. And in that scene, it didn't seem to me as if he was acting. When he said, "Oh yeah, well, it'll be an improvement if I'm not there," something like that.
I don't know why. I just have to say it's the most fun I've had acting for years.
Yeah.
And hats off to that man there. Yeah. Coming up with it and doing it. Georgia was brilliant. She even managed to persuade David Tennant to be in it. Does she know him?
She's his daughter, isn't she? Oh yeah, afterwards, yeah. Well, they cut to take that in America.
And then we went back to the hotel, and in the meantime, the program had gone out, our program had gone out, and we sat at the bar, just reading all these amazing tweets that were coming in from people saying, this is the most amazing, this is the best thing in the 50th anniversary. And it was
Yeah, great.
Yes, take a couple more questions. There's a gentleman there in a checked shirt.
How much fun is it going back, revisiting episodes and doing the commentary for them on the DVD?
I love doing those commentaries as long as the director's not there. When it's just Janet and Sarah or Mark and myself, it's fantastic because you can just have a good time in an affectionate way, slagging off the program. But when the director's there, you have to be terribly serious. I guess what I wanted to do in this shot, Peter, was you think, oh, so then after a while I just said, could we do it without? If the director wanted to do his own commentary, that's fine, or her own commentary. But you can't relax with the director there because it's obviously very much more, not that it wasn't important to us, but you know, they see it as some communicate their ideas and what they were trying to achieve in this particular story. And we just want to go, that ridiculous outfit.
I sometimes enjoy them, and then other times I'm horrified because the kids hide behind couches when we're watching Doctor Who. Well, I used to hide behind the couch, and that's when I came on, and so I never really watched it very much. And then when I see it, I'm forced to sit there and kind of go, oh my God, I didn't realise. I did it once with Pat Quinn, and she was out of her head, and we had a wonderful time.
I've only ever done one with a director, and his name, strangely, was Peter Moffat. A name not unknown in this room. And bless him, Peter couldn't remember a thing about it. And he directed it, and he's saying, was he in it? I don't know. So we had a laugh, and he joined in on the laughing. He wasn't very serious. Yes, which was a joy. And of course, what happens, it's so long since I've seen it that I've forgotten what happens next.
Yes.
So I get lost in the moment. Dear God, the doctor's going to get killed. Oh, thank goodness for that. And you realise you haven't said a word.
Thank goodness Sylvester McCoy hasn't arrived yet.
Well, that's always true.
What about that young boy there who's got a hand up?
Yes.
Okay, out of all your time spent as a doctor, what school adventure would you classify as your favourite?
Great question. What would you classify as your favourite adventure?
While I was making it, while I was working on the series, I think Earthshock was my favourite. But then I finished with Caves of Androzani, which was, I think, probably the best story that I did. Because we had a great writer, a great director, and we had a great cast. And I think it was a nice one to go out on. The only downside is I turned it to Colin Baker at the end of it. But you have to live with these things. No, I thought it was a great story, and I was very happy that was my last good way to go out.
Don't you have anything to say?
Well, I don't know. You see, for me, it's different because you see it in a different way from the inside out, as it were. And the one that always sticks in my mind is Survival, which we did in the deserts of Dorset. There's a huge sandpit down in Dorset, which I filmed in quite a few times. And as luck would have it, each time I filmed there, it was so sunny. It was like over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's incredibly warm. And we had these cat people, and all these girls dressed up in fun fur and makeup and no shade, and just dying of the heat, and it's very uncomfortable. And one of them completely freaked out and stripped off her costume and was last seen running over a sand dune. She forgot she was only wearing a thong. And so for some reason that sticks in my mind.
I think it sticks in my mind. I guess it has to be two doctors working with Patrick Troughton. Lovely man, great actor, and we had such fun doing it. Sadly, the first 3 days, the makeup, instead of going to Spain, the makeup and wigs had all gone to Sweden or somewhere. So we had to wait for them to be found and sent to us. So we couldn't film, so we had to sit by the pool and they made us drink alcohol. It was awful. And then we played those games that you play, you know that game you play in the swimming pool where somebody gets on your shoulders and you wrestle? Well, we did Doctors and Companions. So Fraser sat on the shoulders of Patrick Chapman, and I had to carry Nicola around. It was terrible, guys, I tell you.
Next.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's it, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we've run out of time. Please, there's an announcement to be made, but before we go to the announcement, please, put your hands together. Let's be a 3-1 for vocals.
Tickets for the next Q&A, Torchwood, can remain in your seats. Anybody that doesn't, I'm afraid I do have to ask you to vacate